Hello everyone, and welcome back to the next round of the Unimaginary Theater, a Genshin tournament hosted by Furu on his server, Furu's Teapot. To recap the rules, every 2 days starting from the Abyss reset, we have a ban period followed by a submission period. During a ban period, both players participating in the tournament and non-participants in Furu's server will be able to vote up to 3 characters to ban from subsequent runs, excluding the Traveler. After 12 hours, the votes are tallied, and the 6 most voted characters will be banned for the remainder of the tournament. If multiple characters tie for the top 6 positions for these votes, they will all be banned. Participants for this Unimaginary Theater then have 36 hours to submit a run showing a clear on Chamber 1 of Floor 12. For the first Spiral Abyss of version 5.4. Across the 2 teams used, the sum of 5-star weapons and the refinements cannot exceed 3. However, unlike weapons, there are no limits on character constellations, and if a participant's submission from the previous round doesn't use any newly banned characters, they can choose not to resubmit a run for the current round. Points are awarded for how quickly the chamber was finished, based on the in-game timer. On the screen are the point values a participant can receive for their run, with the highest being 65 points for a clear under 60 seconds, all the way down to 10 points for a clear under 500 seconds. Each round also has a progressively increasing multiplier to match the difficulty of clearing the chamber with a continuously dwindling pool of characters to choose from. These rules were created to promote both horizontal and vertical investment, to level the playing field as much as possible between different accounts. To advance to the next round, players need to submit a 2-star run for the current round. Those who are unable to can no longer participate in the remainder of the tournament. And that just about sums up the rules for this Unimaginary Theater. Now, let's take a look at the scores and character usage rates from the last round. Hello and welcome everyone to round 3 of the Unimaginary Theater. I am Saffron, and with me today is TarZ.
Hello.
And Yux.
Hey.
We have had rounds, 2 of them even. And with it, we had a number of archetypes rising to the top, namely Aggravate and Overload, mainly with Raiden and Raiden National, and also to Dendro teams and like an Air Fryer in the mix as well.
There are also Ganyu charge attacks, quite often used second half due to the second half buff for cryo charge attack damage as well.
It's funny how I literally forgot the one other thing that was prominent, Ganyu. Yeah, so these are the results for the second round, just to recap.
Yeah. You can see people make really good use of both sides blessing. There's a lot of animal characters. We had a lot of Wanderer, we had a lot of besides the obvious Aggravate and 3-6 on the first half, we have a lot of swirl setups, and same in the second half. But besides the obvious overload stuff, we have some Ganyu melts because we make use of the blessings of the Abyss.
What surprised me was the lack of the likes of Mualani and Navia didn't really appear all that much, despite them being really, really well suited for single target shenanigans.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not I feel like there's often better options for this Abyss specifically, because as you say, they're good in single target, but Mualani I think peaks in 3 targets, which is the context of the first side, but then the first side is hard to play for a Mualani team for grouping reasons usually. And then in second half, you're you can single target, but you have to get the second with the context of it being 5 enemies going 1 by 1. If it's you have to either VV every wave, because you don't, because Shonen is banned. You can't do a Showdown setup, and as
Yeah.
long as you don't have a Showdown setup, you can't do the rush thread because it's 5 enemies going one by one. So getting the rush thread is super annoying. You have to do 5 rotations.
Still have
That's not
Zhongli
good
though.
for Mulan.
Yeah, you have Zhongli.
But right, it's like not that good. I mean, it's only 20% rush thread instead of 40, so it makes a noticeable difference.
Yeah, I mean,
I was surprised Navia wasn't used as much, because you still have access to 40% red shred from both Geo-Resonance and Zhongli combined together. I guess
Yeah.
probably people
Yeah.
prioritized Kachina more for the 40% damage bonus from Scroll, based on what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I tried Navia in round 2, and from my experience, running Kachina instead of Zhongli gave me better numbers. But ultimately,
Makes sense.
running Ganyu was faster than running Navia, so I never really did anything with Navia in the end.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To be fair, you only get the 20% extra resistance shred, and at that point, it's not worth it, because it's already negative resistance, I believe, on the Ruin Guards for second half.
It's like, what's the term? It escapes me. What's the term?
Diminishing
returns. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, those were the results for round 2, and as we can see here, still very unsurprising. The pick rate for characters is still very unsurprising. We have the two usual suspects at the top.
I mean, when you have attack scalers, you can never escape Bennett. Bennett will grab hold of you and never let go. And Shelling is, well, basically tied to Bennett in some ways. Also helps for meld setups and vape setups.
Yes. Nahida also with a large presence, especially for those who had Red Sea 2. Sucrose also very high up there. Her grouping wasn't exactly like amazing, especially for the first half, but it was enough animo to group the Aramites somewhat and also proc her iridescent.
I was about to say, Sucrose is like the only current, like at this round, the only character that has Rush Shred and something else that is significant with her EM buff, since Kazuha and Shonen are banned, so like you're kind of forced to use her if you want that Rush Shred.
Yeah. Plus she can hold DTS and all that stuff.
Yeah,
got
exactly.
Singcho, right? Raiden with a fairly large presence. Especially in the second half, of course, as we talked about earlier. And we have Ganyu, Farazan, Blanche. All rather unsurprising. That was the results and the pick rate for round 2. Shall we now move on to the characters that have been banned for the next round?
Yeah.
Here was the results for the poll on what characters should be banned for round 3.
So this is the first time that our exception has been used for the tying, because Bennett, Hu Tao, and Wanderer are all tied for 6th place, which means that this round we ban 8 characters instead of 6.
The results for these polls would go live at 5 a.m. and normally I start my shifts at 5 a.m. So I start my shift, I look at my phone, I see the ban results, and I'm like, what the hell? But then I'm also like, oh man, I really gotta like do my shift as well and not think about this too much. Because I wanted to run Wanderer in the next round and he's gone.
Pain.
Yeeted.
Yeah, because there was just like a few runs that just like had like, even though they weren't in the absolute top overall, a lot of the runs in the first half that didn't use like Chlorando stuff, the fastest runs on the first half were using Wanderer, because Wanderer has access to, on top of just being a pretty strong character in terms of main DPS as far as this round goes, like he also has access in the first round to like doing like full damage on the Eremites. There was a lot of full damage setup with Faruzan and sometimes Venti, sometimes other characters, but with Wanderer being on field. that were using the full damage to get the run to be much faster and getting like 45 seconds in the first half.
He also, like, the ban on Wanderer seems rather preemptive, because I imagine people saw, like, oh, if all these other characters get banned, Wanderer owners or people who invested into Wanderer will have such a massive advantage over everyone else.
True.
I think the biggest surprise, though, here is Chaska. She has had absolutely no presence in the top runs for any of the rounds so far, and she's already gone.
Yeah.
I feel
That
like
is
this
a
is
preemptive one. for sure.
yeah. I feel like this is also preemptive because I think this is where like the paranoia started setting in for people. Like, oh, what if someone's hiding their C6 Chaska? I mean, admittedly, I was one of those people as well because I saw footage of like I saw videos in the past of someone running C6 Chaska with like absolutely random nobody teammates, right? So like
Yeah.
Toma, Chongyun, and like Dory, like they do absolutely nothing in the team but exist, and that's enough for a C6 Chaska.
They don't even
Yeah.
need field time. You keep the field time to Chaska and have
Yeah,
other characters that just have elements and you just destroy the free.
I still think it's a fair ban because Chaska, even though, even if at C0, like first half, because of the 600% swirl damage buff, you effectively deal so much more damage than you would on any other abyss, and so having like a strong animo DPS that can effectively swirl 3 elements at the same time, is just too powerful to be left unchecked.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Can
exactly.
she get hit midair though by the air mites?
I think if you levitate high enough, she can't.
Oh,
maybe
that's
the cryo one can do something.
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't tested before what the cryo range looks like, if that can go in the air specifically, but
well, that sounds pretty busted for Chaska either way. So it's probably not a bad choice to ban her this early on, even if she's had no presence so far.
what I was surprised about was the Hu Tao ban, to be honest, because there's characters like Navia and Kanich that still exist in terms of single target damage that are, I would say, higher cap than Hu Tao can specifically.
Yeah, I believe I was one of the people that might have voted Hu Tao, and I think the reason I can't speak on the behalf of the others who voted Hu Tao, but I believe the reason why I voted for Hu Tao at the time was because of the fact that I had no way to compete with other Hu Tao players, because most of the other people running Hu Tao had her at C1, and mine was only C0. And I didn't have her signature or like a properly good polearm for her, so it's like it was
Makes
like
sense.
the Raiden situation all over again for me, where like I can't compete with the C2 owners.
People also had access to Yunjin combos as well.
Yeah. Bow tie round last round. Anything else to add before we move on?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
This is a better visualization of the bans of all the characters so far that have been banned from submitted runs in the tournament. Still have, I'm still in disbelief over seeing Amber and Diona alongside all the others there.
Diona's a challenge remover. What can we say?
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, besides these two, it's very like consistent like with the strongest like usage rate and like tier list and stuff. It's really just Amber and Diona being up there, being outliers, but the rest is really just like commonly agreed to be like very strong characters.
Right then, let us have a look at the top 15 runs for this round, shall we?
We shall.
We shall indeed.
We got Crest coming in 15th.
With obviously the freeze team, which is gonna be pretty prominent for this first half in general. Freeze Ganyu with Mona and Faruzan, like the classic 15-second Morgana, but with Faruzan instead of Venti.
Yeah, with the likes of Nahida gone, like aggravate isn't as strong anymore. So the
Mhm.
next best thing for many people, I imagine, to try and keep the Eremites in place is freeze.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
naturally, people gravitate towards like Ganyu or Ayaka or running on-field Farazan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Ganyu's one of
for
the
the
few
second-
units. Ganyu's one of the
Yeah,
few
yeah,
units
yeah.
that's actually strong both halves.
That is true. Also, I
Yeah,
believe
with
this is the first appearance of Al Haytham in these, in the top 15.
Bro, and is it the first Hyperbloom team we've seen yet?
Nope.
We saw one
Oh,
last
okay.
round.
Last round,
Oh
someone
yeah.
someone ran Hyperbloom on the first half.
Okay.
With
It's
the
interesting that it. Sorry, it's interesting that it comes up late, like as compared to a lot of other setups. It shows like, despite how good it is, it's not like the high investment team, like right, like it only shows up after a few units are banned.
Hyperbloom
Yeah.
doesn't really have a high ceiling, so
Mm.
it's never going to be the quickest at anything.
Yeah.
It's generally a very cheap team to build, right? It has a high floor, low ceiling, but you know,
Yeah.
it works for your second half clears. You'll be sent in 14th with another freeze team.
Oh boy, a freeze team. I haven't seen these in a while.
This time with Kaya and Hazel as the grouping NMO VV units.
Hazel the goat. Farazan
Absolutely,
who?
Bro. Well, they're like the fast groupers. Hazel and Farazan. Hazel doesn't need to have like a whole setup with Farazan using like E and then charge attack is just like using in his burst and everything is grouped.
Yeah, I think the cool note to note about freeze teams is that there are clearly many substitutes we can use for the Animo and Cryo units at this point. So there are still some variations with regards to how those teams function and rotate.
Yeah, and no matter if you use like 5 stars or like 4 stars, but even like slightly like unit that do less damage on their own, the team is like clears definitely like very reasonably fast, no matter which characters you use.
This Kachin run is so clean. Charge attack cancels,
I wanna
swinging
say-
to the next waves.
Yeah, I feel like them positioning their official burst in such a weird angle was also on purpose, so that the Ruin Grader didn't like spawn those orbs near where they were gonna deal damage with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The question is, can they clear this in under 2 minutes?
The scoring the scoring times it's unfortunately over the scoring threshold of 120, and so they're in the next threshold, getting 5 less points. I mean, with multiplier. So
Number 13, UK. We have the Geo
Mono
Boys,
Geo.
first half. Go forth, my goats.
One thing to note is that like this team, even though it seems like really easy and strong to play, the thing is that you have a risk of getting frozen by these Eremites, and that goes through shields, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't stagger them like Yoke is doing here, you actually just get screwed.
Yeah, like there.
And there,
Yeah,
for
I
example.
tried Mono G on the first half a couple times, and it didn't end well. But I guess this is the best that they have.
I tried to play Noel a bit on first half because it sounded very good on paper, like with 3 enemies in that position and stuff. And I just couldn't make it work because I was getting frozen every single time.
Oh my god, I'm freezing. Ooh, Risley Burnmouth.
Yeah, is that the first Risley we see in the tournament?
They've
In
ran
top 15 for sure.
They ran Risley in the earlier rounds as well, but they were lower in position.
Okay.
God, that Emily damage is insane. What was it, 56k kicks off field?
Holy schmoly, and that's without Bennett.
Does that have
Well,
constellations?
don't know at all. Don't know, but unfortunately she can't snapshot Bennett. And Emily is one of these characters who do have field damage but don't snapshot. For some reason, it ends up being the 5 stars a lot, like Emily and Yaemiko when Visual and Beidou snapshot. I guess just like they have like a lower the 4 stars have lower raw numbers in return.
Right in 2 minutes.
Oh, we have Freeze Garming. That's a meld.
First freeze team that isn't just freeze. This time we have meld.
I believe the Garming is C6, which is like the most disgusting 4-star constellation in the entire game so far.
Yep.
Pretty
Gunning
much.
C6 is like Amber on steroids.
And they're having good timing as well with the Gaming plunges. They're stalling in midair to wait for Monchai to come back so that they can just continue plunging.
200k, you know,
Yep.
just casually, no Rish Red or VV. Like,
Nah, who needs that?
he doesn't need all that.
Exactly.
Is this like some sort of bootleg Sukokomon?
Exactly.
I wouldn't
Well,
say
it's just
bootleg.
one that was Shincho instead of Kokomi, so pretty much.
Slightly more single target focus because of Shincho's substitution with Kokomi,
Yeah.
which honestly makes it better for second half, largely because second half is completely single target.
Yeah.
They are locked in.
Yeah, really good run, really good positioning, and rotations with the VV setups done very well every single time.
I don't
Really
know
like
if
the
they
run.
got the Gorbasaur earlier though.
I think they did, but yeah, maybe the numbers are like slightly. Oh, I don't know because it's Shangling without Bennett, so I don't really know what numbers to expect.
Okay, that was a good. That's
That one's goalless
Yeah.
swirl.
Yeah, and I think it was the same numbers, so yeah. Nice.
In 2
2
minutes.
minute clear. Let's go.
And we have the standard Morgana team. Of course, the substitution of Rosario over Diona to be slightly more offensive.
Yep, and
And
that
also because
allows
Diona's
for
banned.
a 15 seconds. Yeah, true. That allows for a 15-second rotation instead of 20 seconds. So you don't really do charge attacks with Ganyu, but you just have a lot of other field damage coming off all the time.
Yep.
Ganyu's burst helps a lot as well.
Yeah, with the how do you call it? Quadratic scaling. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Grouped enemies. Every hit redirects into the bubble, and so everyone gets hits all the time.
Yep.
Very nice, very clean.
Yep.
Overload Yaemiko comp on the second half.
Very nice.
Yeah, you just
Yo.
on-field Yaemiko for slightly more electro application.
On-field Yaemiko, the goat? Did she really just go nah? I can just imagine.
The stagger.
I can just imagine Raiden going, like, making like some argument, and then just Miko just going, nah.
Oh, that's a Nico thing to say.
Isn't that just what happened in the Archon Quest anyway?
Kind
No,
of, yeah.
I must remain isolated for another 500 years. Nah.
Right.
This is clean.
Very clean.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is like, you know, random bullshit go, but it's like the clean type.
Mhm. Yeah, Chauvin's teams are just like really quick swappy, and you can just not really care about like the order of the characters, but still
And we have
very
Anuki,
good gameplay. Mhm.
not quite
Okay.
at the heights where they were in round 1, but not quite the crowd shot they had in round 2. I believe they
Yeah,
had a lot
it's
more
one- it's
time
one
for
place
this.
to spread.
They had a lot more time for this round, so they could cook up a much better run.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We got our first taser of this round in the top 15 so far.
First taser in the top 15 this tournament so far, and my goodness,
Mm.
Lanyan taser. Unironically, a pretty damn good choice, especially with how these Eremites dish out like 50 bajillion attacks per a second.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need a healer when you have like that good of a shield with Sinchu's damage reduction as well.
Farazan helps as well, which is
Mhm.
probably C6.
Yeah, definitely.
Long Yun's throwing more attacks than the Eremites. Jesus, what the heck?
And the Ganyu
Okay,
melts in second
On you
half.
mount.
Burn melt without VV, because VV is annoying to set up against this since it's like five big robots that you don't really wanna do a single rotation on each of them.
Right. I think it's also good to note Shenhe does have some red shred built into her kit, and that can last through multiple waves depending on how quickly Anuki can kill the ruin guards here. So that's actually really good as well.
Also
Mhm. Wait,
important
and that is
where they
consolation.
position it as well.
I believe
Yeah.
it's just tied to her burst. I don't believe it's a constellation specific.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I also just
Yeah.
noticed. I think this is the only time I've seen Ganyu wield a Hunter's Path.
I didn't pay as much attention to weapons, but yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, it's a pretty damn good weapon for Melt Ganyu, so... Surprised.
Yeah, but it's like hard to build though, because like even though you do not have like stuff like cryo resonance and lasers, you still have like additional crit rate from Ganyu's
Yeah.
A4.
Anyhow, we have Sethos, the goat, back again in the hands of Bowtie and Knife.
Yep.
Block
Very, very
canceling is
good.
disgusting.
Yeah, very, very good execution, as expected from Dotai.
I tried
Insane.
recreating this with my Sethos, and the Eremites always had like 5-10% health left after a Venti burst. So I was missing like a tiny bit of damage for those breakpoints.
Unfortunate.
This time we have Linear Overload.
The first Linny appearance in the top 15 this tournament. Linny the
With,
goat.
The aim canceling, so good. It's the exact frame.
Yeah. One of the most damaging teams overall on paper, but it's often not in the context that it can be best, because Lini without a shield is like pretty difficult to just pull off perfectly. You need to never get interrupted.
Okay,
But yeah, it does really good damage.
but like playing Linny is like way easier than Amber probably.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah.
Oh no, you get hit. If you get hit while aiming a charge shot, you get interrupted. Okay, so does Amber. And I have to aim at a deployable ability, not just an enemy. What about it?
No, obviously I agree, but like I was more like it's
Yeah.
it's like a GCC team. Like it's like one of the best C0 GCC teams, but then not a lot of people actually use it in speedruns and stuff because
Spreadsheet
it's just
impact.
weird. Yeah.
Also, hello, clean rotation.
True. Amazing rotation with the freeze teammate Chica.
We have dual DPS this time with Ayaka and Ganyu.
Just a lot of damage, but Kokomi instead of Mona as the Hydra is interesting.
Hydro is Hydro.
Maybe
I
not.
think the most important thing is that they remain frozen and stay still and don't do their 50 gajillion attacks.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And this Mona could have, or not Mona, Kokomi could have Thrilling Tales here as well, so she'd still be giving a decent amount of damage boosts.
We got Al-Haytham once again. Preemptively positioning Dendro Traveler's Burst to where the Ruin Grader will spawn.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yep.
Very good. Like, yeah, I think they didn't interrupt Al-Haytham's attack chain between both, like between after the kill.
Yeah.
Was very aware with the positioning.
I don't know if we'll see this a bit later, but there is a thing, there's a tech with Al-Haytham, is that when you cast this burst without any mirrors attached, you can actually have some time to go back into another unit and cast their ability, and then go back in Al-Haytham for him to get all his mirrors. And I think we just saw that with
Yep.
Cookie Z here.
It is
Yep,
only available to
yeah.
those with a good internet connection, though.
Exactly.
Still, that
Very
is
clean.
another sub 2 minute. Hito in 7th. Ayaka freeze, but
And
this
then
time with Lanya.
Yep. Another very good pick as far as grouping goes. Wow, did they? Okay, I was wondering if like Ayaka's burst was gonna take a good chunk of also the second wave. It didn't, but it still hit them though.
I think
Shen Hill.
Ayaka dealing a considerable damage to like 2 waves in this occasion is probably more for those who have her at higher constellations, maybe.
Yeah, true. This is like
Shen Hill,
C0 Ayaka, C0 Shenhe, right?
I think so. I don't see anything especially high damage wise with the Icy
Mhm.
Quill damage overall stacked.
A very respectable first half. Also, finally,
Yeah.
guys, we have our first Navi in the top 15.
Yeah, she took her time, but she gets her place. She gets her time to shine.
We also have Kachina the Goat.
Yep, with using the scroll of the hero of Cinder City, giving a massive damage bonus to both the Electro characters and Navia. 2070k, big numbers.
Yep.
Yep, giving
I think it's good to note.
Go on.
I think it's good to note here that because Bennett got banned, now the best option here, double Electro, is because Lisa has a Death Shred. On top of that, also we have Fischl doing insane off-field damage, and well, Lisa can also use Throwing Tails as well.
Yeah. Death
Mhm.
Shred, TTDS, 40% damage bonus to Electro and Geo, and that's how you gotta run under 2 minutes. Oh,
Yep,
look,
and
it's
who's
me!
there now? With the Hazel Freeze.
Hazes, oh my god. Look at this.
Ooh.
Very amazing
Nice.
job getting 6th place with main DPS Hazel. That's pretty nice.
Hazel, my god. He may or may not be triple crowned.
Nice. Love to see it.
It's 160 skill damage I'm seeing.
Yep.
Dang. Oh, and the bee hopping. Oh my god.
Too much for Z block. Admin, he's doing it sideways. Yeah, he just did a 200k skill there.
Oh my
Awesome.
god. The goat.
Oh, I have no Bennett. I'll just replace him with Shenhe instead.
Shenhe instead. I think it's good to know you're getting around like I think 30% res shred in total because you have Zhongli's shield and then also Shenhe giving some resistance shred as well. So this is even though there's no VV here, this is actually more than enough resistance shred to actually get a significant amount of damage buffs.
Oh yeah, for real.
Yep, we're seeing pretty nice numbers coming out from the Ganyu there.
Yep.
Getting is that like 3 rotations to clear the? That's like the 3rd rotation right now, right?
Yeah. Did you have Zhongli here with Tenacity of Melwith or Petra?
Tenacity.
Okay.
I'm not unhinged enough to run Petra Zhongli.
Not unhinged enough to collect the crystallized shards on the field.
No, that's just too much. I'll leave that to the spreadsheet enjoyers.
Alright. You have another taser comp from ML.
Just random animal taser stuff.
That's wait. Look at the skill. You could look at the skill cooldown. Was that
Thundering Fury Sucrose?
Yeah, Thundering Fury.
What
Love to see it.
Hell?
I mean, it makes sense when you have a double, when you have a second animo character, you don't need to run VV on both. So
Actually,
it
don't
does allow
forget,
for more interesting options.
Yeah, don't forget that. I think one of Sucrose's constellations also reduces the cooldown of her skill when you do a certain amount of normal attacks.
That's also true.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that.
We'll forget about early constellations for early characters. Don't worry.
Hey, Pyro MC, let's go.
I was about to say Pyro MC.
Hey.
I believe they can get away with using her burst because there's so much more power application with both Xiangling and Pyro MC.
Yeah.
Right.
Both all the characters in the team, well, except Zhongli, I guess, doing very significant amounts of damage, despite like Shengling not having Bennett. So, like very respectable numbers from everyone.
Like Ganyu isn't doing as much damage as mine in the last run, but their Xiangling is just doing so much more.
Yeah. And Pyro MC as well.
Pyro MC as well, yeah. Wi-Fi
That's scroll
sucks.
buff, you know?
Did you just say Robux?
No, I said it's that scroll buff.
Oh.
Oh.
Robux? What? Oh?
Life is Roblox.
Robux? Scrollbucks?
Oh god.
Yo, it's all that Monopoly money.
Indeed.
Respect for running the traditional Taser team.
Yeah, and getting top 5 with it as well. Very nice.
Very nice.
It just works.
Yeah, when you have that blessing buffing the swirl damage by a lot, it's worth it. It just having on-field sucrose just makes things work. Though it's very hard to like not get frozen again against these eremites.
Oh yeah, like
And yeah.
that looks really difficult to pull off consistently. So
I tried it myself to play Taser on some of the rounds, Taser sucrose, but I also didn't like I was getting frozen all the time, so I stopped trying.
also we have the first Yoimiya in the top 15 this tournament, I believe. No,
Yep. Wait, it's not the first one?
no, I think Turtle Camera ran
Turtle has
Yoimiya
one.
Vape in round 1. Yeah,
Oh. Oh yeah, maybe.
I just have the memory of a goldfish. Don't mind me.
Wait, wasn't there a Yoimiya run that had like a C6 Hydro character with her? I don't know if it
Oh
was
my god,
Yalan
you're right. Yeah, there was
or
like
Farina.
a Yoimiya.
Yalan.
We were like, oh yeah, that's a Yoimiya. Wait a minute. Their Farina just absolutely, or the Yelan just absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
Turtle Camera in the top 3.
Yeah, speaking of turtle
with
camera.
America. Yeah.
Cool it. Freeze.
This moment will be frozen in time. Love to see it. Kaya, Rosaria, the OG Cryo 4 stars coming yet again in the first half. Just very strong team core for this Abyss.
Right.
Yeah, pretty clean, pretty clinical.
Absolutely, as expected from TarZ. Very, yeah, very. How do you say it? Like, yeah, very, very clinical. Very. I don't have the word, but
we have a Walmart burn melt setup for C6 Ganyu. Very oldie
Yep.
value.
I believe this is a tank Fae build, if I'm not incorrect on that statement. So she should be running something like Throwing Tails and perhaps Instructors as well for extra buffs for Ganyu to do damage with.
Oh yeah.
Instructors is pretty hard to run on Yansei because her energy requirements are very high.
I think
Right.
they're running Instructor on Kali.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Yeah,
that makes sense. I think running Instructors on Yanfei might be possible this half, just simply because of the amount of energy Rune Graders and Rune Guards give overall in comparison to other enemies.
True, that is something that people will probably take advantage of in later rounds, knowing that the ER requirements aren't as strict as in normal combat situations, because, as you said, the Rune enemies give more energy than the regular ones. We have Johan in number 2, and
the C6 Ganyu. Ayaka, my god. Yeah, sorry.
Got the wristband, got the Apple Pro Max watch.
Well, that's definitely a C6 Ganyu for sure.
Yeah.
With a magic as well.
Yeah.
Is that a C6?
Actually, no, that's definitely not a C6
No,
Ayaka.
because-
She would have 3 tornadoes if it was C2 at least. She would
Yeah.
have 3 blizzards. Probably C0, but it's definitely C6 Ganyu.
Oh my god, the goat Tartaglia. Look at how he's supporting the team.
Child support yet again.
No. +1 level.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how Novalat's best team at his release involved Tartaglia. Tartaglia did nothing on the team except provide Hydro Resonance and give +1 to his charge attacks. That's it.
He never swaps to it either for any swirl damage. It's just pure Animo. No, not like this.
And that is another sub 100.
Yep.
Or was that the
I
first
think
sub
it was
100?
like. Mm-hmm.
We'll
maybe,
find out
yeah.
sooner or later anyway. This is the fastest time this round. Sufina playing their hand with their C6 Ayaka. The damage bleeding
Yep.
into the second group, almost already killing them. Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like one rotation and barely anything more to kill 2 waves.
And that should be game, right?
That should be game.
32 seconds. And then they ran the same thing as Johan, but running Zhongli instead of Tortellini. Tortilla Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wonder,
20% red shred.
Yep, instead of +1 normal attack. I wonder what constellation they have on their show, because I don't know if Johan has constellations. I know he has C2 Xianyun, but I don't recall him having high constellation shell. I have to check that. To double check
He
that.
definitely has one constellation at least, given the fact that there are 3 skill charges
Yep.
available.
But we all know the best Xiao constellation is C4.
Oh my
Of
god.
course, we love that defense. Love that defense.
We love that. We love the Albedo constellation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was all of the top 15 for this round. And on that note, let's look at the overall results for this round beyond just the top 15 as well. So obviously we have the top 10 here. So now that we can see all the teams in image form, we can see a pattern emerging on what people use. Obviously we have a lot of freeze, a lot of animal on the first half, and then we start seeing a lot of still seeing Ganyu, still seeing a lot of Zhao on the, well, not really a lot of Zhao, but Zhao's mostly in the top 2.
So the meta for the first half has been more or less established at this point. You've seen a combination of freeze, taser, and in some cases aggravate comps. But those are the main 3 archetypes we've seen overall. Whereas the second half, we're still seeing a lot of variation, whether it's overload, Ganyu melts, and, you know, in the top 2, shell plunges.
Yeah, with both Nahida and Clorant Band, definitely aggravate is much less of something you would rely on against the Eremites.
But yeah, a lot of freeze, a lot of animal in the first half. Unfortunately, Furu was 1 second away from making it into the top 15 with his Bloom setup.
Yep. The Fridge Barbara. Certainly a team for the first half.
I believe that this is where he had to use his phone over his PC, so that might have cost him a few seconds here and there too.
Yeah. Yeah,
But yeah.
definitely much harder to run these kind of teams on phone.
Yeah, still similar sort of patterns emerging on the first half. Same sort of teams on the second half as well, further down, with a bit of Hyper Bloom and other various Dendro teams in the mix as well.
Yeah, a lot of Tignery making it in the not top 15.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yokai's run stuns out the most though, because they literally went, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. They just run Mono G on the
True.
first half, and then like,
You.
oh, I don't really feel like playing Ganyu, and I don't feel like playing Zhongli, so I'm gonna run Risley Burn Melt. Similar sort of patterns emerging even further down. TarZ there with the GOMC
Yep.
and Klee.
Klee overload. Good old Klee overload.
Haven't really seen much of Klee in this tournament. In the top 15, if at all.
I think this
Yeah,
is the
we-
first time Klee was played in the tournament so far.
Oh,
We unfortunately didn't have Geoff playing, who could have probably pulled some really good clear runs.
if Jove was in here in the tournament, oh
Oh,
boy.
yeah. Oh boy.
I feel like Klee would be
Well, I
banned
think-
within like the first 2 rounds.
Yeah,
Potentially.
true. True, but the thing with Johan, I think, like, as compared to someone like Johan, he doesn't have as much horizontal investment, so I don't know if he would have survived in the later rounds.
And then the final, the final few contenders. So we started with 39 contestants for round 1. Round 2, we only had 37 contestants, and then round 3 we only have 34 contestants. I say only, as if we lost a great amount, but still plenty of people hanging in there.
Yeah, so it's just like 3 people per round. That's not that much dropping out, I
Yeah.
guess. Well, there's still like a lot of characters available.
I think it's a good show of how wide varied Genshin's overall roster is, because at this point we have 20 characters banned, and people are still able to, clear this entire chamber with plenty of time to spare. I mean, sub 100-second runs, right? So it's very, very cool to see.
It's a good way to broaden your horizons a bit, because the tournament made me play characters or play characters I'm familiar with a way that I'm not used to, which was quite nice. Nice little learning experience.
Yeah, it rewards like the kind of things that that Furu's channel does, just playing off meta, playing underused character. Well, I mean, all 3 of you, Furu, Saffron, and TarZ do off meta content. Of course, yeah, just the idea of playing a bunch of characters that you wouldn't see as much.
Yeah, like, this is our territory, but, even here, like, there were occasions where, like, oh, I have to play this one character I'm not too familiar with. And then it's like, oh, this is actually pretty fun to learn and figure out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that becomes even more apparent in the later rounds when eventually the bans become more than the actual playable characters we can use during the tournament.
Yeah. Right, I think we've covered everything in terms of the current round. Shall we look at the overall results after round 3?
Yes.
Johan, still holding on to his lead. Tsufina moving up to second, or were they still second? I feel like having arrows pointing if they moved up or down or not would be something to
Yeah.
consider.
Yes.
But hey, these are the results. We have Turtle Camera and Chica third and fourth. But yeah, as the rounds go on, there are obviously still some ties here and there, but the many ties will be broken as the rounds go on. Anarchy making a very swift recovery from, I think they were in the top 20 after round 2. But
Yeah, they ended up 14th, I believe.
they climbed their way back to 8th. Very respectable.
Yep.
Not really all that much
With
to
the
say
way the
here.
bracket system,
Sorry, go on.
with the way the bracket system ends up working, because points are awarded per time bracket, a lot of the ties will be capped for a few rounds and then later on.
Yeah, the ties aren't too important like this early on. It'll matter more later on when you have to do a run with a box of scraps and hopes and dreams. And like
Yep.
5 toothpicks. And like
Yep.
some
And also the multiplier stacking up makes the ranking in the early rounds not as relevant. Like it can still change a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. But this also means just because someone is like way down, like in the midfield of results, doesn't mean that they're out of contention for like a solid top position.
Exactly.
Right.
But yeah. Like the top, like those in the top 25, for example, or like top 26 are only like 30-40 points behind the first place, so the gap isn't all that big because people are only focusing on time brackets rather than, you know, going for the absolute best possible result with their roster, because there's just no time for that. You only got 36 hours.
Yeah, exactly. We only have 2 days for each round, and like considering it's like overall like a bunch of rounds, and it keeps going on, you can't really like keep on playing 24/7 for so many days and never stop grinding. So you have to just get a decent time and be satisfied with it.
Have you heard of the hit
Right.
mythological figure called Sisyphus?
Yeah, going for speedrun times in this tournament, like one must imagine Sisyphus happy, like chill out.
Surely he'll get that boulder up that hill one day, right?
Really.
One day.
To play off your point, because of the limited time for each round, it's not like we have a lot of time to plan out what rotations look like, especially with units we've never played before. So getting an acceptable time is much more important than trying to get the fastest time possible our accounts can produce at this point.
Yeah.
Going for like a healthy balance between the two is what gets you to the top.
Mhm.
Is how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of like managing how much how good the clears you want to have are, but also like not getting like burnt out and not and having still energy for the rest of the tournament.
It's all about the long game.
Yeah.
But yeah, after round 3, we are down to 33 participants. Who knows how many more will drop out after round 4, when even more characters will be banned, and the playable roster will become even more miserable to do the chambers with, right?
We'll see that next
We'll
time.
see.
Yep, we will definitely see next round. But yeah, that is it for round 3 of the Unimaginary Theater. Thank you
Bye-bye.
for joining us, and we will see you next round.
See you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.